Welcome to another Wake Up Humans podcast. What's going on, my man Drew? How are you, brother?
Not much, my dude. It's a great day. Looks like you're in Florida this time instead of Connecticut.
I'm in Florida, my man. Golf this morning. Had a great time with some buddies, and I'm getting
That's
ready to
awesome.
leave for Australia in the morning.
Oh man, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be good. Just watch out for those kangaroos,
Yeah,
man.
Jamie came home from school today and said she was talking to a friend who's from Australia and said uh, there's like double the amount of kangaroos now. There's like a not a pandemic, but something going on with kangaroos. There's a lot of kangaroos.
Shoot, eat one. Tell me how it tastes.
Do they do that? Do they eat them?
I don't know. You're gonna find out.
I
But
just want
just
my
just
ass
don't eat a
kicked by
koala
one.
bear. Yeah, just no koala bears. Those are too cute.
You're wearing one of
Awesome,
my
man.
favorite. You're wearing one of my favorite shirts, bro.
Yeah, right. Love that shirt.
Remember
I've
we
been
made
running
that?
around
We
this
made that
morning.
for the first Sarasota meeting.
Yeah, yeah. Big poster. And Dr. Sid, BJ Palmer, solving the problems that we have.
Yeah, they're sitting at a desk together, working, paperwork, notepads in front of them, writing, working. Good stuff, bro.
Yeah, and really, if you think about it, if we go back to what they've said, what they've written,
Yeah,
um, our problems will be solved.
yeah.
You know, they'll be
Well,
solved.
we're
But
not dealing
we
with.
were talking about focus the other day, and you were like, "Shoot, let's just wait and do it on an episode." So I guess we're breaking down focus today, right?
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, man. I know if you stay focused, that's the key to real growth and service.
Right.
We have to stay focused.
You
We
have
have
to,
to stay focused.
or you
Yeah,
become unfocused.
yeah. And I wanted to look up definition. Definition of mental focus is that refers to the ability of an individual to direct mental effort onto the most relevant information around them. That's
Most
great.
relevant.
Yep, most relevant.
I like that.
You know, it's just like when that lady died in your office.
Remember that? That was what was most relevant was bringing her back to life at the moment. And then when we had the ambulance coming, I had a packed house of people I had to adjust. And I remember I was on table 3 and she was going to lay
You
down
know,
on table
the
1.
yeah, and she came back, but you were focused on the other patients that were there to get adjusted.
I had to. I
Yeah,
had to.
that that was the most relevant thing at the moment.
It was wild because I had a conversation probably 6 months prior to one of my mentors, and he said, you have to be so prepared
Hmm.
that if someone dies in your office, you could take care of business, take care of them, and then get back to work. So as
Yeah.
far as focus, yeah, I mean, when she was getting on table 1 and she collapsed, I mean, it was
Hmm.
apparent this woman just died, and I had to
Yeah.
run around from table 3, and I was like airborne, grabbed her, brought her back. While I was in the air, looked at my front desk and said, "Call 911." And you could hear the sirens coming in the background. And at this time, this was my second office space. It was a small little building. They parked right in the front door. And we had a sign
Ooh.
in sheet at the time, bro. So they put the
Hmm.
gurney right in front of the sign in sheet. And when they walked in, at this point, I had lifted her up, put her on a chair, had my staff sit there with her because she was breathing now. And I went back to table 3, and this guy, Glenn, was there, and I started checking him again. And it was like no one
Hmm.
skipped a beat. They were there to get
Yeah.
adjusted. It was bizarre. It was one of and it turned out to be at the time our busiest afternoon ever. People walked,
Hmm.
squeezed around the ambulance in the front door, reached over the gurney, signed in, and walked over to wait,
Yeah.
get it. Not one person said, "What's going on?"
Yep. Yep. And that's not just your focus, but staff focus too.
Well, they were on purpose, man. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
think about it, it's a crazy story. People ask me all the time, "How the hell did you do that?" Because we have a definiteness of purpose. Now we stopped. everything and took care of her. We
Hmm.
had to, but then we
Hmm.
had to refocus and say, okay, what do we got to do? We got to get back to taking care of people.
Yep. Yep. And I've got good word. Melba Hughes that used to work for Dynamic Essentials. The first, like her son and Dr. Sid's son played football together
Oh,
and
really?
baseball. Yep. And that's how they got connected way back in the 60s, 70s. And Melba had a episode where like if Melba's subluxated, she's out. If she's not, she's good to go. It was practice out in Powder Springs before it got so big. Melba went out, right? Dr. Sid went over there, checked her, adjusted her, and went back to coaching practice
Really?
because he knew there was nothing else to do.
I never heard that story.
Yeah, and there's no cell phones. Like, what do you do? But
True.
that's how Melba Hughes got connected with chiropractic and DE.
So Dr. Sid was adjusting or coaching her son.
Yep, yep.
How cool is that?
I know her and John Sidney, and then um, Melba had an episode, went over there and adjusted her. All right, boys, let's get back to practice. And she was still out. Like, but then said about 5 minutes later, she kind of roused up. She was good to go.
Good old
You know,
Melba.
yeah. Focus though, like Dr. Sid's focus, the idea fixe,
Yeah,
like major purpose, that top bone in your neck. You know, the
that's chiropractic.
gingerbread man with an arrow.
Best story ever, man.
It is, it is. And you know, we think being focused is just being busy, but we can be busy and not be productive.
We could be busy, but yep, not be productive.
Yeah, I'd rather be productive.
Right. And to be productive, you got to know what to focus on. I mean, in today's day and age with cell phones and emails, I mean, we're constantly getting inundated.
Yeah.
So when I mention when I'm golfing, that's my time to relax. Like
Hmm.
I'm tuned in and I don't take any phone calls. I don't
Hmm.
return any texts unless it's my wife or my kids.
Yep.
It could wait 4 hours
Hmm.
of my
Yep.
time, checking out birds, chasing a white ball, and
Hmm.
just breathing,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
And there's a lot of peace in that. The best thing about playing golf, and you've seen me play golf. There's not many good things about it, but the best thing about playing golf is just being out there in that stillness.
I love it.
Me
I
too.
love it.
Me too. And you
I
know,
love
if we're distracted, man, it's going to dilute all of our energy and our mission.
right.
You know, we can't live that lasting purpose if we're not
Right.
focused. And that giving, love, and serving doing out of our own abundance with no expectations. It 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 deserves clarity and focus. You know, it deserves it. And our people deserve it, you
It's
know.
funny. I'm muting myself while you're talking because there's an airplane and a helicopter going overhead. There's a bird chirping over in the trees. And all I could think about is, a professional podcast, this noise, but you learn to make that part of the experience, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
life. You're not gonna get perfect silence. You got to
Mm,
let it become all part of the experience, and that's focus. And I think that's how that came up. Last time we were talking about Joe Accurso and meditating and trying to find quietness, and you'll never find perfect quiet. You ever see that
yeah.
thing? There's this quiet room where they give
Oh, is
people,
all the foam?
yeah, and they'll give
Yeah.
$1 million. I think if you last like an hour or something in it, and no one's been able to do it.
Mm-mm. It's like 5, 10 minutes, and they said you can hear your own blood coursing through your veins.
And they say it drives people mad.
Yeah, that's
So
insane.
that's why when people say you just got to get silent, it's never silent. I got in
Mm-mm.
trouble in school once when I was in like third grade, and they said draw a straight line. I said it's impossible. They said, what do you mean? I had a ruler and it had a little nick in the middle of it. So I would
Mm-hmm.
draw the straight line. She said, good. I said, no, look at that little part in the middle. That's from the nick. You had those little thin metal piece going through it.
Yep.
And I always said, and she thought I was being a wise ass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, listen. She said, you need to focus more. I said, I am focused. There's no such thing as a straight line. It's in, you can never
Yeah,
like, and that's Dr. Sid, near perfect, right? It could be close
that
as
is.
perfect as humanly possible, but how do you know it's perfectly straight? How are you defining that? By what you're perceiving? No way.
Mm, mm. And then if you zoom in, and not even the little bump, but if you zoom in, we're assuming that metal edge is straight.
Right,
It's a 49-cent ruler. It's not straight,
right.
you know. And if we focus on the wrong things, we're not focused at all. We have to see things right. You know what I'm saying?
We have to see things right.
That's right. And like we multitask. You know how it is. Like we've got probably 6 or 7 threads that like just you and I are in, much less all the other text threads. And like you forget which ones you're in. You're like, all right, now who's in this one? Like what are we talking about? The multitasking. We're not focused, and then we're overcommitting ourselves. And I think we just really want to serve the profession, but it's hard to say no.
It is hard to say no, but it's also, I think we've learned over the years, there's just some things you can't pour any more energy into it because it
Mm-mm.
takes you off the focus of what's primary.
Yep,
You
yep,
know, what's that saying? Keep the main thing the main thing.
that's it.
And if it's
That's,
something, if it's a text, if it's a conversation, if it's a group that's pulling you off your main thing, it's not worth it.
you got to bounce. You got to go.
That's it. I love those
And
group text threads, and then people they send a message to the thread and they're like, "Oh, sorry, that's the wrong thread." And you're like, "Well, wait a minute now."
now come
Because
back.
of your lack of focus,
Yeah,
you just kind of exposed yourself.
uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. And you know, we always talk about good, better, best. If you
Right,
say no to a good thing, that will leave an open space for the best thing that you can say yes to.
right.
If you're saying no to everything when that opportunity comes, you're not going to have time for it.
So one thing to share is with the focus, and this is what we've been talking about, good, better, best, and what to focus on and where to pour our energy, is now uniting the profession because we have a lot of groups.
Hmm.
We're labeled our group the DE guys, right? The DE
Yep.
guys, girls. And we always found that funny, but you're labeled by the conference or seminar you go to. But again, when you look at it, it takes a lot of clout because they realize what we stand for, where we're coming
Yep.
from.
Yep.
So we've been talking over the past couple of weeks now, our crew, and you and I were on the phone yesterday about what we could do moving forward, bringing the like-minded people. I mean, we don't have to be 100%, right? There's not that perfect straight line in
Mm-mm.
line with everything, but coming together and putting our minds together to strategize on and focus on how to make the well-being of chiropractic better, the
Yeah,
best.
and not for necessarily the chiropractors, but for the patients, for the people we take care of. So we're breaking that 10% barrier of people under regular care. You know,
Right.
we need at least 30%, but we don't have enough chiropractors to take care of 30% of people.
No, no, I
We,
just talked to someone who's they're getting older. They want to bring in an associate. They want to know how to do it. And I'm like, we're at
hmm
the phase of the game that we in our neighborhoods, you just need a big square building and have 3 or 4 chiropractors working together.
yeah,
That's the future.
yeah,
That's
it's
the
easy,
model.
man. It's easy. Went and got my hair cut this morning. We talked about chiropractic the whole time.
Right.
Either that or she's going to put a rinse on my hair and make it black. But I said, no, no, you're not going to make me look like Burt Reynolds. We're not doing that. She said, don't you mean Burt from Burt and Ernie? I'm like, maybe. It's some Burt. But
Uh,
we got to stay focused on what the main thing is, dude.
right.
And I know for me, I get up in the mornings, I do my same routine. Get up a little after 5:30. Um, get my coffee going. Let the dog out while my coffee's brewing. I go wet myself and then let the dog in. Get my coffee, sit in my chair, and just no phones, no TV. That first cup of coffee is just quiet. You
I
know,
love that first coffee in the morning, man.
it's the best.
Especially when I'm in
So,
Florida. I got a chair right over here that I sit in overlooking this yard and the
uh-huh.
sounds and the things. And I just sit and no one's awake,
Yep.
and then eventually Tammy will come out and she'll sit in the chair next to me. And it's just, to me, that's the best. That's one of the things I love most in life is just focusing on nothing but hearing everything.
Yep.
And it helps me
Yep.
focus for the rest of the day.
Yep. And I guarantee you, some of the best conversations you and Tammy have had have been in the mornings when neither person said anything.
Those are the best.
Yeah. You don't have to say a word. You just
Yep.
know,
Yep. This
you
is
know.
our Australia. And I'm, I'm not looking forward to it yet. I'm that guy that, people are like excited. The guys at the golf course, you excited? I'm like, no. Have you packed? No. When are you going to pack? Tonight. I've already packed in my head. I know exactly what I'm bringing. It's going to take me
Yep.
15 minutes. It's not
Yep.
I don't know why it's a big deal, right?
Mhm.
And but we're taking this trip, and it's the first time we've taken a trip alone in a while.
Yeah.
And we're going to a place where we're getting off and we know nobody. We're walking to a seminar where we literally know nobody. I might know one guy.
Hmm.
A young man that visited my office came to the office. His name's Bronco. Great kid, fired up. And maybe one other. I don't know. It's you're walking in. You bring in your energy into the space of just amazing people for the first time, man. That I'll be really getting excited about. Plus the time that me and Tammy are going to spend together, and
Yeah. And just the new stuff that we see, like we've been to Philadelphia, you know kind of where things are, but there you're just like, well, shoot, here we are, Melbourne. Like that's the opera house we see all the time. This
yeah,
is cool. Like where do we eat? Like hell, we don't know. We got to find a place to eat.
right, right,
It'll be great. Just new experiences all the way around.
right.
You know.
But think about going into a new city. You got to, what are you going to choose to focus on, right? Goes back to that
Hmm.
whole focus. What's the
Yep.
experience? What choices are we going to make to create what kind of experience? And what's the ultimate outcome of the entire trip?
Yeah. Yeah. Spread chiropractic, man.
That's
Reconnect.
that's what we do.
That's it. Like
That's what we do.
it's simple. You
Spread the
you
word.
boil everything down. Where like where I'm at, we have a lot of moonshiners, right? Where they distill their corn mash and then they make like corn liquor out of it. But that's the thing that we keep doing over and over is we go through like we put chiropractic through a distillation process
Mm.
and it just gets concentrated and concentrated and concentrated. And then everything is in one shot glass. You
Ah,
know what I'm saying?
and it's powerful.
Yeah, it's strong. It'll knock you on your butt, but it's all right there. You don't need a big barrel. You need that. You don't need a glass of wine. It's all in that one shot glass.
Yeah, it's a
I,
pretty cool
yeah,
analogy.
I hope I live that way and hope we practice that way where everything boils down to chiropractic, subluxation, nerve pressure, and an adjustment.
Yeah, very simple. It really narrows down to just that.
It does. It
You
does.
know,
And if go ahead.
if you're going to take a magnifying glass and start a fire, how
Yeah.
laser focused does that beam have to be?
Hmm.
Have a steady hand on a specific area long enough until it catches fire.
Yeah.
That's the principle of chiropractic. Our rays have gone out. Our rays have gone out and spread out, and the profession's become diluted.
Hmm.
Our focus is to undilute it, like you said,
Yep.
with laser focus to put the principle out there to people. Because, like you said, it goes
Constant.
back to it's all about the people, the patients. We got more
Yeah.
chiropractors putting the principle out there. Look what happens. You look
Hmm.
at kids graduating now, and this was the discussion I was having with the gentleman, and it was Paul Blumsack. You're good friends with Paul.
Yep.
And we're talking about because he sees the kids, he works with them in clinic and he sees them going out trying to get a job. And these offices that do high billing, mixing, whatever, they'll pay these kids a lot of money to be mixers,
Hmm.
right? So the kids have to do it to just survive. But we need more principled offices that are out there growing, bringing these kids in and teaching them the right way to be a dang chiropractor.
Yeah, yeah, and just stick to it. Like focus on chiropractic. You don't have to do the plantar fasciitis like hammer gun on their feet.
Right.
You know, you clear this out, clear that out. I'm more a parasympathetic doctor, I guess. Atlas, sacrum. If they good, we good. And
That's right.
you know, plantar fasciitis is going to go away. You know, it will. It does. The baby always turns. That's what happens.
Right.
You know, that's what happens.
Right.
It's it's easy. And you know, if chiropractors focus, they're going to take better care of their people and they're going to have better, stronger relationships with their people.
Right.
You
That's all
know?
about the relationship, man. You know, that's
Yeah.
why when I was writing Wake Up Humans, I'll never forget about halfway through it, the publisher called me and said, "We have a problem." And I'm like, "Oh no, all this work's going out the window." He said, "You have two books here. You've got the Wake Up Humans, which is for the lay people, but there's also a book here for the students and the doctors on how to be a principal chiropractor." That came from the publisher, who's not a chiropractor. And that's how I ended up with Atlas Adjusted. I didn't plan that. I didn't think I was writing a second book. So we
Yep.
started writing the second book at the same time we were writing the first book.
Hmm.
And it was about a year and a half process. Boom. I wake up, I got two books that went out there.
Yep.
But that's how it happened.
Yeah. And, you know, I think talking about the books, Wake Up Humans gets a lot of credit. Atlas Adjusted don't get hardly enough.
You know, Eddie Martinez called me out on that, bro.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not one to really, and I'm gonna change this. I am gonna be better at this, at what's it, publicizing myself or putting my own stuff out there. You know, I
Hmm.
like to have Michelle and put her on it. But Eddie said
Hmm.
every student should have Atlas Adjusted.
Yep.
So him and
Yep.
Brian Moriarty just went and spoke at Sherman. So I think we sent about 65 books to them to hand out to the students.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So be cool to see if we get some feedback on how that helps these kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and you know, even if you're not a student, if you're new doctor, old doctor, man, read Atlas Adjusted.
Yeah,
You won't be sorry. You won't be sorry. You don't have to do everything in it, you know. You don't have to do every single thing. You don't have to do everything Steve Judson does.
right.
Like I don't want to become Steve Judson. I want to be a better me,
That's right.
you know.
And you know what's funny when you say you don't have to do everything in it. It's not much in it. You
There's
just got to
not.
you just got to read the cover.
Yeah, check them. See if they're subluxated. If they are, adjust them, recheck them, make sure you got it. See you later.
A great chiropractor said once, "Find it, fix it, leave it alone."
That's
Clarence
it. There's
Gonstead.
yeah, nothing else to do, my man.
That's you know, you want laser focus in your office, find it, fix it, leave it alone. One of the things we're focusing on, I think people will like here, because we have multiple doctors in our office, right? And a couple of the
Hmm.
other offices, you know, our staff, you do group orientations where, you know, for years pre-COVID, every Monday night, patients would come in, get adjusted at 6:30, stay at 6:40, and I had about a 35-40 minute orientation that we would do, and we'd get 10 to 25 patients coming to it. My
Hmm.
my staff's having a hell of a time getting people to come.
Yeah.
So we're adapting, we're pivoting. And you know how you have your day one, day two? We're doing day three, four, five, six. And we're
Oh
breaking
wow.
it down into segments where we're taking the orientation. And instead of them going out on the open adjusting floor, they're staying in a room and one of the doctors is going in there and going through that segment with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'll let you know how it goes, but I think that's going to be really good because you know you look at the growth and you know we always think outside the box, but to think beyond, which is one of the things I learned, a term I learned from Andy Andrews. He's got a great book.
Hmm.
called The Bottom of the
Looking.
Pool. I told you about it. And
Yeah.
thinking beyond, look beyond. We got to look beyond. Like, how are people thinking? They're quick on their phones. They want quick, quick, quick. I don't want to sit through a class. I can't make it. I'm busy. All that kind of excuses, which I'm not good with
Hmm.
excuses. So we got to pivot and we have to refocus. And we said, okay, what can we do better? So I'll let you know how that goes. It's gonna be interesting. Dr. Alex has been working hard on it, and kudos to him. We talked about it on Monday in our meeting, and yesterday he sent me an outline. Boom,
Hmm.
boom, boom, boom. That we're gonna
That's
start
awesome.
implementing. Yeah, it's fantastic, bro.
And that goes back to good, better, best. Um, for you and your people, like the group orientation was good at the beginning, great. But now this may be best. We just have to test the water.
We got to test the waters.
Just test and learn, test and learn, test and learn over and
Yeah.
over.
Pour some energy and focus into it.
Yep. And we start making changes, dude. I get fired up.
It's
I
exciting.
get it is. I love like tweaking stuff. Love tweaking things.
You know,
Well, shoot.
I don't like to tweak too much. I like to let something run. You know, I see
Hmm.
sometimes people are, constantly changing software, constantly changing technique, constantly changing, staff. I'm like, how
Oh
about
yeah.
we work with what we have and try to do better, best, greater?
Yep. No, I mean, yeah, I don't like some things. I just like tweaking things or the way I say things and like try to learn. But like I've got a folder that I've written all the things in it myself. I don't want to. I want to give them material of the way I talk.
Yeah,
Like I want it to be congruent. So I wrote it all out, and it's like 10, 12 pages. Give them a big folder, send that home with them. It's the same sheets basically since I've opened. Now I'll make them fresh again when I run out of like 1,000 copies of them. Um, I go like to a blue color or orange, you know, just those things. And like I don't know, I just love like just playing with stuff, but the meat of it is the same.
right,
The meat is the same.
right.
You know, it's for a while we have open adjusting, and the tables were one way. Table Dr. Claudia uses over here, one I usually use over here. Hers has air drops on it, so she don't have to bend over so much. But then we just swapped them, and now we're on the opposite side. That's cool. It's just mix it up a little, just change it a little, not much. But what are you doing on that side? Oh, this is my side. What are you talking about? You get on her side,
Right, right.
you
And
know.
what made you flip them?
I don't know, just a change.
And how do patients react coming in?
Some people didn't even notice it.
Hmm.
They're just like, hey, yeah, hey, what's up? And then some were like, what's going on? We're like, nothing. She's mad at me, so I come over here in the corner by myself, and just blow it
Fun.
off. And they're like, yeah, this is different. But now this is your table on this side. Like, yeah, yeah. We just mess with them,
Ah,
just to freshen it up a little.
hey, you look at all the big chains, like Moe's and Starbucks and these places. You'll all of a sudden one day you'll drive by and the signage is different outside. The colors are different. They
Hmm.
repainted the whole place, different signs. People get comfortable. They get complacent.
Yep, yep. But then on our tea wall, um, people have touched it so much the paint is coming off of it.
Yeah.
You can't keep paint on it, man. The door, people opening and closing it 300 times a day. Um, the paint just flaking off. We try to paint it, it just don't stay.
Right.
Which is a good thing. I want to see the paint wore out, just wore off of the thing.
That's a great sign.
Yep, I love it, love it. Had to get new carpet. Was wearing the carpet out.
Yeah, I'm getting there too, man.
You know, it's a good problem though. Well, shoot, man, you better when you're in Australia. I'm telling you, you better stay focused when you're there.
No
Enjoy
doubt about it.
yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy
Yep.
Tammy. enjoy the place down there.
I got a week of no conference calls, nothing.
Nope, nope.
Just, I'm sure our texting will work, but I told certain people just leave me alone unless it's an emergency.
Mm-mm. I'm not texting you. I'm not texting you.
And if
I
you
may
want to know
send you a
what's going,
YouTube video
ah, there you
of
go.
some
I tell
song, but
people you want to know what's going
bro,
on.
you gotta listen to the song.
Check out Tammy's social media. You want to know what's going on. I'm sure she'll be posting pictures
Yep,
all over the place.
yep.
Awesome, my man.
If you do get a chance to eat a koala bear, just let me know how it tastes.
Koala bear or kangaroo? I thought you said koalas.
Both, both.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that's allowed.
No, I don't think it is. You can't eat a dang koala bear.
If it's a possibility, I will, but I'm sure they're not going to let me.
No, that's right, brother. Man, we appreciate you. Y'all have a good time, and it's going to be great to see how it goes for you.
It's going to be a blast, bro. I'll let you know all about it, my man. Love and
That'll work.
appreciate
Well,
you,
yeah,
pal.
yeah,
Everyone have an awesome week, and we'll talk to you shortly.
yeah. Love y'all.